Thank you, everyone, for being here, and for the past 6 weeks, really. So we're going to use this last week to kind of look at the big picture, a little bit of a review of everything that we talked about. But really, the main purpose of this week is to look at hope. What is hope? True, meaningful hope, and cultivate it. How do we cultivate hope? So we're going to be looking at what is hope. We're looking at framing tests, any difficulties in life as opportunities for growth, for our own personal growth. And looking and viewing this whole global experience with the pandemic and a lot of the changes that have happened to it as an opportunity for the world to unite. And how when we seek joy, we become the joy for others as well, even if we're just looking for it. And then living our lives in a state of grace. So I'd like to offer some points of view on what is hope. Some offerings that you guys can reflect on. Hope is the seed from which everything begins. It's a spark of light that guides you. Hope is the knowledge and the confidence in that knowledge that everything is happening for a reason and knowing that you will be all right. Hope is what allows you to see your future in a positive light. It's what gives you the strength and the courage to take the next step. It breeds optimism, which fuels a life of positivity and joy. And I'd like to offer a perspective that hope is situated in an origin or a source beyond ourselves. Hope can come from the divine, so that we can connect to it. And that's really what will fuel us. So when you're setting your intentions, like we talked about in the first and the second week, consider setting them from a place of hope and positivity. Set your intentions in a positive light. This is what I am. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing, rather than I won't do this and I won't do that, or I will be. Just be it and live it and set it from a place of hope. Try to connect to at least one of these when you're exploring the concept of hope in your own time. And then how do we cultivate this hope? Well, one we just spoke about is setting our intentions from a place of hope and then repeating those intentions to ourselves as your mantra and using them as your filter when things come at you. Because no matter what, you're going to face challenges. But when you're facing these challenges from a place of hope, you'll be using it as an opportunity for learning and growth. So I'd like to offer a few quotes, and we can take turns reading them. Perhaps, Sabrina, if you can read the first quote.
Okay, thanks, Tina. Gold in the fire. The more difficulties one sees, the more perfect one becomes. The more you plough and dig the ground, the more fertile it becomes. The more you put the gold in the fire, the purer it becomes. The more often the captain of a ship is in the tempest and difficult sailing, the greater his knowledge becomes. That's Abdul al-Baha.
So the more you put the gold in the fire, the purer it becomes. And the captain of the ship, when he gets more experience, or she gets more experience through the storms and the tempest, that's when they really become a good sailor, through that experience. And those are all analogies of our lives, right? But it's really important because no matter what, we're going to have challenges. The challenges are there to test us so that we can use the experience as an opportunity to learn more about ourselves, learn more about our environment, and do better. We're always growing. We're always becoming. So this is where it's really important for us to be clear on our goals, because when we're hit with challenges, sometimes we can feel a little bit lost or a little bit hopeless. But if we're really clear when we set our intentions from a place of hope, when we've made space, like we talked about in the first place, we make space, we cultivate gratitude. And then in the second, we talked about setting our intentions. So when we set those intentions and then use them as our filters, that way, when these tests come at you, no matter what, you'll be able to get through them. And they'll help us grow tall enough to achieve the goals and to reach our intentions. Noel, would you mind reading the next quote?
Sure. Rise to greater heights. We must always look ahead and seek to accomplish in the future what we may have failed to do in the past. Failures, tests, and trials, if we use them correctly, can become the means of purifying our spirit, strengthening our characters, and enable us to rise to greater heights of service. From a letter written on behalf of Shohei Effendi, 1941.
So again, this is just another quote emphasizing our perspective. And this kind of touches on what we spoke about in the first and second week about living in a state of gratitude, being thankful for these tests. This is the radical gratitude, because we see the test as an opportunity to strengthen our characters and purify our spirit and really rise to greater heights of our service, whatever we choose that service to be in our intentions. Nicola, are you in a place to read?
Yeah. Diamonds form in molten stone. Under duress, great things are born. Diamonds form in molten stone. The sweetest flowers of man's spirit have most often been watered by tears. To struggle gives strength. To endure breeds a greater capacity for endurance. We must not run away from our heartbreaks in life. We must go through them, however fiery they may be, and bring us out of the fire a stronger character, a deeper reliance on ourselves and on the Creator. Beauty can give joy, pain can give strength, sorrow can deepen the whole nature of a person. We must try to get out of every experience in life the very best it can offer. We must also accept the fact that there are some things in this life we are not going to be able to understand here and now.
So again, this touches on living in a state of radical gratitude and connecting to a greater source of hope. I hope this quote can give you a little bit of hope and something to revisit when you are going through difficulties. And it's not saying that we have to seek out struggles or we have to bask in our own struggles. No, because no matter what, they will come to us. But it's what we do with them and how we come out of them that makes the difference. It's our perspective on them and how we endure through it. Daring greatly. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how strong the man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust and the sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. It's by Teddy Roosevelt. So again, know your intentions, set your goals, repeat them and use them as your filters, and enter the arena, and you'll achieve great things. I'd like to move on and talk about now how this whole pandemic and the struggles of the world, this experience has actually been an opportunity for us to unite. If it weren't for us being pulled out of our material lives and the rat race, really, perhaps there wouldn't have been enough time, and this is sad to say, enough of a moment for us to give ourselves to see the cruelty of the racism, for example, going on in the United States and in the social structures worldwide, right? If we were all too busy because we were going to work and we saw on the news what was happening, you see it, you say it's awful, then you're like, okay, time to go to work, or okay, time to meet up for my coffee date, right? And it doesn't sit with us. But we had this moment where we weren't doing anything else. It was all stripped away from us. And we gave ourselves the space and the opportunity to reflect and really see what's going on. And it wasn't just limited to that. There's a myriad of injustices going on around us because of various power struggles, really. And that can bring us down, that can take away hope. But if we see it as an opportunity to unite, or any conflict, either a worldwide conflict or a national conflict, or even a rift between two individuals, if we see our differences as an opportunity to come together, to consult, and to create a solution, the light of unity will shine brighter than anything. And it can illumine the whole world. So Sabrina, if you can read the next quote.
Thanks, Tina. Paving the way. We who toil now are paving the way for a far better world, and this knowledge must uphold and strengthen us through every trial. Written on behalf of Shoghi Effendi.
So even if the struggles that we're going through right now, if we don't see the immediate results now, if it's for a valiant cause and a noble cause, something that we know is better, we can have the hope that this is for a better world for our children, for our and we're leaving a better legacy, really. We're weaving the fabrics of a blanket, of a legacy that we will leave to comfort our future generations. And Noel, if you can read the next quote, please.
Sure. However difficult matters are at present, and however close to the limits of their endurance some sections of societies are brought, humanity will ultimately pass through this ordeal, and it will emerge on the other side with greater insight and with a deeper appreciation of its inherent oneness and interdependence.
So this was written in response to this pandemic. It was written in March 2020 from the Universal House of Justice. And it's just highlighting the fact that we will get through this. And this is, for some, for Baha'is, the Universal House of Justice is their connection, one of their connections to a greater source of hope, right? But it is a message to the whole world that humanity will pass through this ordeal. And it's like any of the challenges that we read about in the codes previous, where it's a test and we will come out of it with greater insight. We already have. We already see how we're so united. We're all going through the same experience, the same struggles, some greater than others because of the structure, the lack of structure that was there before. But it's really helping us realize and appreciate our inherent oneness, that we're not immune to something just because we live in a certain part of the world compared to another. And we're all so interdependent on one another, and more so now than ever before. And Nicola, would you mind reading the next one?
Yeah, thanks, Tina. Confidence and assurance. It is becoming evident that the world is not yet through with its labour, the new age not yet fully born, real peace not yet right around the corner. We must have no illusions about how much depends on us and our success or failure. All humanity is disturbed and suffering and confused. We cannot expect to not be disturbed and not to suffer. but we don't have to be confused. On the contrary, confidence and assurance, hope and optimism are our prerogative.
So this was written shortly after or around like the World War II time. And of course, there's lots of confusion during that time or loss of hope. But again, if we connect to a greater source of hope, or we connect to the hope that's within us, whatever that is for you, that will carry you through and help you move on from tests and achieve greater things. And here's another quote on hope. I think it's me. The darkness of this gloomy night shall pass away. Again, the sun of reality will dawn from the horizon of the hearts. Have patience. Wait, but do not sit idle. Work while you are waiting. Smile when you are wearied with monotony. Be firm while everything around you is being shaken. Be joyous while the ugly face of despair grins at you. Speak out loud while the malevolent forces of the netherworld try to crush your mind. Be valiant and courageous while men all around you are cringing with fear and cowardice. Do not yield to the overwhelming power of tyranny and despotism. Serve the cause of democracy and freedom. Continue your journey to the end. The bright day is coming. The nucleus of a new race is forming. The harbinger of the new ideals of international justice is appearing. The trees of hope will become verdant. The copper of scorn and derision will be transmuted into the gold of honor and praise. The arid desert of ignorance will be transformed into the luxuriant garden of knowledge. And the threatening clouds shall be dispelled, and the stars of faith and charity will again twinkle in the clear heaven of consciousness. I find this quote very soothing. And I find actually a lot of intentions in this quote. When resetting intentions, this might be something you can turn back to if you're finding yourself struggling again. Because there will be more struggles to come, right? Be firm while everything around you is being shaken. So an intention is, I am firm while everything around me is being shaken. I have patience. I will work. I will be joyous, or I am joyous. So these are all sources of inspiration, sources of hope. And a way really transitioning from that quote into this is how we operate from a locus of hope instead of scattered anxiety, right? When we find our source of hope, find some inspiration, choose that as your locus of control. Focus on what's within you. There's a lot of noise outside. There's a lot of information coming at us, a lot of things that can make us anxious, right? A lot of speculations and everything, especially in this specific situation. But if we drown that out, reflect and set our intentions, use those intentions as a filter, and always respond instead of reacting. Respond to what's going on you in the act of reflection. So when we talked about reflection, I think it was last week, that really helps us kind of gain perspective on where we're at and where we're at in the world that we sit in. And then choose our response intentionally rather than a quick reaction, an abrupt thing that might not actually serve our purpose, might not actually pass through the filter of our intentions. Right? Just imagine in your mind coming in to a locus of hope rather than when we feel anxious, we just feel scattered and all over the place, right? So bring it in, give yourself some time, make some space. And again, choose the attracting force of love over dismembering fears. Seek the information that you want to get in the world. There's a lot of avenues for information to come at us, whether it be through the media or social media or just people telling us things, right? You can drown that out in a bit, but also seek the information you want, bring it in, consolidate it, and then again, respond. Don't react. And that's how we live with grace. The sign of a knower and a lover is this, that you will find him dry in the sea. You have control. You have hope. You have a connection to something greater than you. And in a sea of tribulations, you will find yourself dry if you give yourself the space and make the time and the effort in hope.